You'll never guess what I made using old Christmas ornaments. I ran into Dollarama to pick up some extra supplies. Using a sharp pair of scissors and a sturdy grip, I began to create my Halloween decor by cutting the cauldron in half. I removed the handle and set it aside to reattach later. Next, I gathered some of my old ornaments in various sizes and textures. I removed the metal top of each one by carefully twisting and pulling it off. Using my hot glue gun, I began to attach the first ornament to the cauldron. I wanted to make the ornaments appear like the bubbles that form in a hot witch's brew. I continued to glue the ornaments all over the edge of the cauldron and on top of one another. I also added a few mini ornaments to appear like the pot had boiled over along the outside of the cauldron. For a fun addition, I added a few of the mini skulls to create a little more interest to my design. Once I was happy with the overall placement of the ornaments, I reattached the handle using a dab of glue on either side. Lastly, I flipped the cauldron over to attach the trick-or-treat sign. There you have it, my completed cauldron decor piece. You could hang this on your front door, on a wall, or even a mantle. It was so fun to create a spooky entryway with a pop of color. I hope this inspired you to create your own playful Halloween cauldron wall hanging.
I was looking around the Halloween section at my local dollar store, and what did I find but the most adorable clear pumpkins and skulls. The first thing you need to do is drill holes in the bottoms of all of the pumpkins and just 2 of the tops of the pumpkins. String your twinkle lights through the bottom of the pumpkin and all the way through, then stuff about 1/3 of the remaining twinkle lights back into the pumpkin. Thread the remainder of the twinkle lights through the top and screw on tightly. Glue the bottom of the pumpkin securely to the base and let dry. Thread the twinkle lights through the bottom of the second pumpkin and then stuff about half of what is left of the twinkle lights into the second pumpkin. Glue the base of the second pumpkin to the top of the first pumpkin. Thread the lights through the top of the pumpkin and screw on tightly. Now, display with some pretty fall or Halloween items such as an old gold-framed mirror, a black runner, or a lace tablecloth. Candlesticks with used candlesticks for a bit of a spooky feel, faux pumpkins, or faux flowers and vines, or whatever else makes your heart sing. Both the pumpkin topiary and skull topiary look great during the day or night.
Grab any colored pool noodles, some black floral stems, and other spooky items from the Dollar Tree. Paint 1 foam noodle using black acrylic paint. Fold the painted pool noodle in half and use scissors to cut at the fold. Place down 2 Halloween skeleton hand plastic goblets. Add hot glue to one side of the pool noodle. Press and adhere both pool noodles together. Add a rubber band to the end and center to secure one of the goblets. Camouflage the rubber band using some more black acrylic paint. Drape and adhere some faux webbing over the centerpiece. Cut faux florals from the bouquet and insert stems into the foam noodle. Continue to fill and insert more floral stems. Turn on and place tea lights inside the goblets. I love how this Dollar Tree Halloween themed centerpiece turned out. I hope this inspires you to create your own spooky themed Halloween centerpiece.
I picked up these hands, skeletal hands, from Dollar Tree. So what I gotta do is cut it right at the first knuckle there. Be very careful when you're using this knife. The plastic is pretty thin, so it comes off pretty good. Once you cut out that knuckle, the finger will bend right up. Just take some hot glue, put it in there, hold it in place for about 10 seconds, and it'll stay right there. I did this with every finger on 4 sets of hands. Some I pulled up higher than the others. I wanted some randomness. It looks good that way. Next, what I did was I grabbed one of these fairy lights from Dollar Tree. But what I need is the battery pack and the lights themselves, not the other items. So, first thing I'm gonna do is pull that clip out, and I'm gonna get rid of that. Then what I need to do is unscrew the light bulb, pull the fairy light out. This little battery pack just pops right out with your thumb, and all I need to do is get rid of that base there. And this is the light I need. This candle I also got from Dollar Tree, and I want to put the fairy lights inside. When they're glowing, you will see the lights through the plastic. This plastic is easy to cut. I just need a little bit of a square. Again, be careful. go ahead and cut that square out on all 4 sides. It's easy to do as long as you've got a sharp knife. Then what you got to do is just go ahead and put the fairy lights inside. Just a little dab of hot glue on the side will be perfect. That will hold the battery pack in place. This, when we mount it with the battery pack, will go on the back end and you'll barely even see it. Now, just when I can't think I can get spooky enough, I grab a red crayon and a little lighter and let that drip all along the candle. I think you know what look I'm going for on this. And look at that. It even comes with some blood clots on there. These are the 4 candles I'm going to use. Only 1 crayon was used to make all this. Now with the board, for this project I wanted to use some old pallet wood. It has an old antique look to it and it's perfect for this Halloween project. I didn't want the nail holes to be lined up next to each other, so I offset them a little bit. Then I took some other scrap wood, put some glue on the back. I'm going to use some brad nails to put that together. This glue holds really good. Once I get the brad nails in, it's going to hold these boards together, and then I'll cut off the ends just to make them square. Next, it's time to paint it. I'm going to use a little bit of black paint. Now I don't want this to be solid. I can just go random on it all over and anywhere, but I want to make sure I do get the sides. Then I'm going to add just a tiny bit of gray, and look at that. It's going to give it kind of an old antique look. I need to put some nails and screws through there. Those are going to hold the hands on. I'm going to drill 4 holes to pre-drill and allow the screws to go through. Now, before you freak out a little bit, these boards are sitting up off the table. I'm not putting holes in my table, so don't worry about that. Once I get these holes drilled, what I want to do is take the screws on the back end. Go ahead and tighten them by hand. Use a screwdriver, or you can use a cordless drill and put them in. Once the screw's sticking out, there's a little hole in the back of the hand. Just place that on the screw and start twisting. The threads of the screw will eventually pull down on the hand. Just keep going around in a circle, and once you get to the base of the wood, it's going to stop. You want to make sure all the hands are facing the same way. Go ahead and grab some of that hot glue again, put it right on top. That's going to make it secure. Last but not least, let's put a little Velcro on the bottom of that candle. One side on the candle, one side on the palm. That way we can remove the candle and change the batteries if they run out of power. We're going to go ahead and put these all on here, and I couldn't help myself, but I had a few fairy lights still left over. You'll see them lit up on the back. I also grabbed this little drape from Dollar Tree. It looks like a little spider web. Had to put it on top and get it draped on there. Back to the candles. What we want to do is get them on there and get them lit. Once the lights go low, look at that. It just glows in the dark. There's our skeleton hands holding up the candles with a little bit of blood dripping from them. I hope you like this project. It's a spectacular project, and I love making it.
To start this project, you're going to need some tablecloths, some eyeballs, and some tape. First thing I'm going to do is open up this white tablecloth. Next, with the scissors, I'm going to go ahead and cut strips of the white tablecloth, and they don't need to be perfect. Now what I'm going to do is cut some wide strips all the way down the long ways of the tablecloth. So I'll be focusing on this column here in front of my door. So this little pillar has an edge here, so I'm going to start underneath of it, and I'm going to start about 8 to 12 inches underneath. And I'm just going to start by grabbing a piece of tape. You're going to take one of the green strips of tablecloth and tape it to the column here, like this. The next what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to wind it around the column, making sure that it overlaps each time. Now when I get to the end here, what I'm going to do is grab a little tape, and I'll be using Scotch tape for this next step. Once I have it taped on this side, I just added another strip, and then I continue to reach around the column, and I can straighten it out if I need to, but it really doesn't need to be perfect for what we're doing. So I'll go ahead and keep wrapping this whole column with the green tablecloth, and I'll show you what we're gonna do next. Now I've got a piece of black tablecloth, and I'm gonna just cut it down here, and it doesn't need to be perfect again. So, this piece out of the way, and I'm gonna go ahead, and I just wanna give it a few zigzags, but again, doesn't need to be perfect, so I'm just gonna cut some zigzags in here, leaving it folded so that I can do this quicker. So next, I'm opening up the tablecloth. I'm going to place it right under this top part here, and I'm going to wrap it around the back and then tape it into place. So I've got an eyeball here, and I've taken some gaffer's tape and looped it, and I'm going to place that right in the center of the eye. Now the reason for not using hot glue is sometimes the hot glue will melt through the tablecloth, so I want something that's not going to ruin that tablecloth. I'm going to take the eyeballs and place them approximately where I want them. So it's time to add the face. So I'm going to add a little nose here. I don't want him to be too scary. So I'm going to go ahead and draw his face here. And then, of course, I want some stitches. Here's how he looks like all finished up. So I've got my white tablecloth. I'm going to place it right here at the top and add a piece of gaffer's tape to hold it in place. Next, what I'm going to do is start winding the tablecloth around the column. So I have an eyeball here, and I'm going to take some gaffer's tape that I've looped to stick on the back of the eyeball. Now this is important because hot glue can sometimes melt the tablecloth, and we don't want that. Now I'm going to reach up and put the eyeballs onto the column. So for this next one, I want it to come right underneath the eyes and overlap. So I'm going to just drop this down a little bit, and like before, I'm going to use some gaffer's tape again to get it started, and then I'm going to go around the front and come in and overlap those eyes just a little bit, and then finish wrapping it around. And then continue wrapping as I go. Now I added a little crisscross pattern here and a few other things, but I also know that this column, because it's white, it doesn't show up quite as much. So I've added some dirt to it, but I'm also some brown that helps with some definition. Here's my mummy, and I'm thrilled with how he turned out. This inspires you to create some wrapped columns of your own.
We are going to start off this craft by going to your local dollar store and grabbing 8 pool noodles. So these pool noodles have stickers on them, and you need to take these stickers off. Just peel them very slowly and try not to remove too much of the pool noodle. You need to make sure all of them are removed though too. And now we're going to go and inflate our ball. So it did take a little bit of time to go and inflate this, which I did just cut to going and capping it, which you need to do with any exercise ball or it's going to go and leak. The Gorilla Tape is really strong, so I didn't realize you're going to need scissors. I've actually never worked with Gorilla brand tape before, and this stuff is really sticky, like so sticky to the point that it's going to leave residue. Go and take a piece of the tape, put it into a circle, and stick the 2 balls together. Now what you're going to do is you're going to use a bunch of pieces of tape and just continue to tape these 2 together, and you're going to want to stack it as you go. It's actually easier if you pretty much loop it a small amount and then press it to both sides. Make sure to secure both sides as well after you have taped the entire center together. And yeah, it does take some time to go and do this. Also too, make sure it's fully and totally secure, move it around, bounce it a bit. I ended up just throwing this on the floor a couple times and it stuck together really well. Now we're going to go and measure on the pool noodles. Measure a foot up, use a Sharpie or some sort of permanent marker to mark, and go and do this for all of the pool noodles. Now use a knife to go and cut a triangle into the piece. You can also save the little pieces that are in the middle and save them for a different craft, or maybe fangs for your spider if you want them. But it should have a bend to this after you're done, which you're going to go and take some of the tape and then tape it down so it's secured and is bending. Do this with every one of the pool noodles that you went and cut. And after we are done with that, which, yeah, this does take a bit of time, put 2 pieces on the end of each and every one of them. Just make sure they don't stick together, so make sure they're not too long. They should be only hanging about 1.5 inches off the side. Now what you're going to do is go and secure it onto the ball and measure how big you need these. You might need to move the legs around a little bit, which is fine. But after you've figured out where this pool noodle is going to touch the ground, cut it, and maybe leave yourself a couple of inches at each of them, just so you can pretty much move these legs wherever you want to. Now that you have one of your legs measured out, you can go and cut them to pretty much the same size for the rest of them. So just measure them up, sister them up, and then now you have pretty much all of your legs cut. Now onto the next step, which is going and putting stripes onto the legs. Each of the legs, I put 4 on, including the little piece that's in the middle, so it made 5 on each leg. So now we're going to go and secure it onto the exercise ball. Use little tiny pieces of tape and tape the top, bottom, and all of the sides and really make sure they're secure. And continue to go and do this. As you see, I ended up putting a couple pieces onto my leg of tape, but what happened is this left a bunch of residue on my leg, so maybe you might want to have something set off to the side, maybe like a little step ladder to go and put the pieces onto. So lesson learned. After you check that all of the legs are fully secure, what you're going to go and do is you're going to go and clean up some of the tape that's around there. So just put a piece across and make it look like there's an extra stripe for the leg. So I wanted to go and get this entire spider assembled before I went outside and spray painted anything on it. You can spray paint the balls beforehand or after. I just thought that it was going to be a lot easier, and I was pretty right. It was definitely a lot easier to spray paint it. So I'm spray painting this black and trying to get all of this extra text off of the ball here. Now after this has dried, which it really didn't take too long because it was the summertime when I went and did this, it was still really hot out. What you're going to do is you're going to go and paint on some eyes. You can actually use spray paint for this, and keep in mind this is a spider, so it should have 8 eyes. You can give the spider some pupils as well. I just thought it made the spider a little bit cuter. And they were like an off-gray color because I wanted to mix it, and I didn't want it to really look too dark for the eyes. This spider's first location is going to be a bush. But the nice thing about this spider is that you can go and move this pretty much anywhere. So say you don't like the spider being in the bush here, though I think he looks adorable here, you can easily just pick him up and bring him to the next location. So this corner is great for the spider, and the thing too is these pool noodles, as long as they're secured properly, can actually support a small amount of your spider's weight. So you can bend them, you can position them, and there you go. But maybe this location really isn't the best for him, so maybe he is a front door, front stoop decoration. So I'm going to move him over here, position him a little bit, and I think he looks best here.